Friday night from Adat Ariel's various bedrooms, dining rooms, living rooms, etc. We are so delighted to get to spend an evening together celebrating the end of a long week and welcoming in a chance to rest, to breathe in and out, to sing, to harmonize with each other as loudly as you wish. We can't hear you. And we are so delighted to have the delightful Chazanut stylings of Stuart Zimring, who will be leading us in prayer, just so that Kanta Aronoff could spend one evening just with her family. I'm sure she's watching from Facebook though, and we will see her tomorrow morning. All is well. And we will hopefully be having a special guest speaker as well in our Torah slot. So stay tuned, open your hearts and your prayer books. I believe we will begin with Shalom Aleichem, a lovely greeting of the Sabbath angels and really of each other as well. So I think that is on page 5 if you're in this book.
Yep.
So over to you, Stuart, and mwah, Shabbat Shalom again. Thank you for this.
Shabbat Shalom to you and welcome to everyone on Zoom and Facebook. Shabbat Shalom. So on page 5, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Baruchuni l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzeidchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. We turn to page 10 for Lechuna Ranana, which is actually on page 11. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzuri shenu, nekadma fana betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, nekadma fana betoda. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Excuse me. We continue on page 23 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabla, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabla, Shamor vezachor bedibur echad, Ishmianu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet velitila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat, nekabla, lecha Dodi. לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה, לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, קומי צאי בתוך הפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. In the middle of page 24. התעוררי, כי בא אורך קומי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדונייך, עלייך נגלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת, נקבלה. We turn to the bottom of page 25, and if you're able, we rise and we face the door to welcome Shabbat HaMalkah, the Sabbath Queen. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzala, toch emunei, Am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabla, lecha dodi, likrat kala, pnei Shabbat, nekabla. We continue on page 27 with Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור. כי שימחתני אדוני בפעלך, כמעשה ידיך ארנן. Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir leyom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai. At the bottom of page 28. Tzadik katamar yivrach, ke'erez bavanon yizkeh, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריעו. עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו. להגיד כי עשר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולתה בו. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. Back to you, Rabbi.
Shakoya, thank you so much for that. That is a beautiful tune. I believe that's a Rothblum original.
Correct, that is.
Thank you
One
so
of a
much
number
for that.
we'll be doing this evening.
We're fans of Rabbi Rothblum, and it shows. I encourage everyone at this point to join with me as we offer our blessing over the candlelight. It is dark outside, so my candles have been lit earlier this evening, but I'm going to offer the blessing at this time. So if you can and you wish to, you can stand and do the covering of the eyes, and we'll say our Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat blessing at this time. And welcome some more light into our lives. Na 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 na. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner v'tzivanu lahadlik ner v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Na 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 na. Mwah! Shabbat Shalom to one and all. Please feel free, if you're not alone in the room, to give a big snuggle and Shabbos kissy to whoever you're with. So Carol Zimring, if you're there, please feel free to receive a nice little kiss, hug, smooch from Stuart, who deserves it. He's had a long week and he's giving us his vocal cords to help us celebrate Shabbat together. Please feel free to be seated again. Before we move to our Ma'ariv part of the service, we have a special guest. For our regulars, you know that this is the time where we tend to have 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes-ish of Torah, or maybe we think about a prayer or a theme of an upcoming festival, holiday, celebration. And this week, we often tie this moment into something that's relevant and that's connected to the calendar. And this past Wednesday was Pink Shabbat. I'm still wearing some pink in honor of that, to continually beam awareness to this very worthwhile cause. Pink Shabbat was established by Sharsheret. And we're going to learn a little bit more at this time about Sharsheret. And this too is Torah. Parshat Mishpatim is full of laws talking about property and looking after one's fellow and the damages that one can do accidentally or on purpose and being mindful. So it is actually very appropriate to have some moments to hear about this organization. So I'm going to introduce Jessica Jablon. She is our very own Valley Outreach Program Coordinator for Sharsheret. And in her role, she partners with synagogue communities and organizations and medical professionals to raise awareness about breast and ovarian cancer and its prevalence in the Jewish community. Jessica has an MA in education from Pepperdine University, and she lives in Tarzana with her husband and 3 children. So she's a local, one of our own. So I'm going to pass the everything over to Jessica, and we're so grateful that you could join us and enrich our Shabbat. So over to you, my love. I'm going to mute myself. I might turn off my screen just so.
Well, thank you so much for having me today at your Pink Shabbat. Like Rabbi said earlier this week was Pink Day. It was a day to raise awareness and generate conversations. And I saw a photo of the Adat Ari staff on their Facebook page. And it's just so wonderful how Adat Ari makes breast and ovarian cancer awareness and education a priority for your congregation. So special thanks for bringing me here tonight. For those of you who don't know, Sharsheret is the Hebrew word for chain. And we're a national Jewish nonprofit organization that was founded almost 20 years ago by a young Jewish mother, Rochelle Shoretz. She was from New Jersey, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer at the young age of 28, right after she finished clerking for Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Supreme Court. In fact, the mezuzah that hung for the last 20 plus years on her chamber post, the only one in the Supreme Court, was given to her by Rochelle. And when she was diagnosed, all Rochelle wanted was to connect with someone like her who was going through what she was going through. And friends introduced her to another young Jewish mom who was a few months ahead of her in breast cancer treatment. And we say they were the first links of the chain of support. And that's how Sharsheret was born. Sharsheret's mission is to improve the lives of women and families at all stages or at increased genetic risk for breast or ovarian cancer through personalized support and educational outreach. We share free resources with women and families so that they can make informed decisions about their health and treatments. And we also help the next generation by working with students on high school and college campuses to understand their risk and family's health history. Additionally, Sharsheret educates community leaders and healthcare professionals about the unique issues for Jewish women facing cancer so that they can better care for their patients. And we partner with major medical centers like Cedar Sinai, which allow us to raise awareness among the Jewish community at events like this one. So why do we need a Jewish organization? Well, 1 in 40 Ashkenazi Jews carries a BRCA gene mutation. That's nearly 10 times the rate of the general population, making members of our community significantly more susceptible to hereditary breast cancer. Up to 80% of people with the BRCA mutation will get breast cancer. And this mutation is also linked to increases in male breast cancer, ovarian, prostate, pancreatic cancers, and melanoma. And since both men and women are carriers of this dominant genetic mutation, there is a 50% chance that a carrier will pass it down to their children. And I just want to stress to everyone, especially those of Ashkenazi Jewish descent, how important it is to know your family health history for men and women. Ask your parents, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, any living relative, were there any cancers in the family? At what age and what kind? If you have questions about your own family health history and what to make of the information you gather, Sharsheret is here for you, and so is our genetic counselor. We have a free genetic counselor on staff. There are other genetic mutations besides BRCA that we also need to be aware of. CHEK2 increases your risk for breast, colon, and prostate cancers. PALB2 increases your risk for breast, pancreatic, and ovarian cancers. And there are others like ATM, TP53, and the Lynch genes, the Lynch syndrome genes, which also increase risks for other cancers. And finding out you have a mutation could save your life. Now, only 10 to 20% of breast and ovarian cancer is hereditary. So it's imperative to remember that 1 in 8 women, regardless of your family history, will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. And 1 in 1,000 men and 1 in 72 women will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And this means that all of us should be paying close attention to our bodies, commit to a screening plan that's right for you, and be healthy in our daily lives, eating healthy, moving more, and reducing stress. All sometimes easier said than done, but all essential to reducing risk. I get it. I'm a busy mom of 3. It's very easy to let everyone else in my family come first and put my needs last. When I first started at Sharsheret, I had the opportunity to hear a survivor share her story. She told us how she had put off her physical because life got in the way. She finally went to the doctor and happened to mention just in passing that she'd had some symptoms that she was ignoring. She just didn't think they were a big deal. The doctor heard and insisted on doing more testing. And it turned out that she had an aggressive cancer that needed immediate treatment. Thankfully, she's cancer-free now, but it was a good reminder that we need to prioritize ourselves and listen to our bodies. The journey is different for every person. A colleague spoke with a woman after a program. She shared that her family learned that they were carriers for the BRCA gene mutation through her dad's side after he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. She had been struggling for 10 years with what to do about it, whether to get preventative surgery or to continue with surveillance through mammograms and MRIs. She asked the question, is knowledge power or is ignorance bliss? She felt wedged between both. But that's why Sharsheret is here to help. Our peer support network connects women who are newly diagnosed, survivors or at high risk, with others who have faced similar diagnoses and experiences. We also send out free kits to help support women and their families at different stages of their treatment. For example, we send moms with young children our busy box filled with age-appropriate toys, a storybook explaining cancer at a child's level, and family resources. Another kit we send is the Best Faced Forward kit, which includes non-toxic and paraben-free makeup and eyebrow stencils for women experiencing the cosmetic side effects of treatment. We even have a caregiver kit that we send out for those who are taking care of loved ones. Our kits are tailored to each individual who contacts us. Now let's talk about mammograms. These were the first appointments to be canceled when COVID broke out. But if you're of the age when you need a mammogram or someone in your life is, please get that rescheduled. We know cancer doesn't stop because of COVID, but breast cancer diagnoses have been dramatically down this year. And that's because people aren't getting their mammograms. It doesn't mean that there is less cancer. It's just not being caught and will be caught next year at more advanced stages. We know how easy it is to delay, but whether it's your mammogram, your annual checkup, or a genetics consultation, please make sure you're staying on top of your own health. If something doesn't look or feel right, don't put off calling your doctor. We hear way too often, I wish I knew about Sharsheret before. So when someone you know is diagnosed or discovers they have a genetic mutation and you connect them or their families to Sharsheret, that right there could be a life-changing or even a life-saving moment. And now that you've heard all of this, you are a Sharsheret ambassador, a link in the chain. So please spread the word. If you know someone who could benefit from our free, confidential, and personalized support and resources, let them know that Sharsheret is here for them. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and thank you for having me tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Jessica, and thank you so much for sharing those words of wisdom for us. We don't want to be in blissful ignorance. And I take that job very seriously of being an ambassador for Sharsheret. And we will keep you coming back year after year to ensure that everyone gets the message. So really, Toda Rabbah, thank you for all that you and your organization do. We would obviously now invite you to stay online, but you're also welcome to go and take care of your 3 children and look after your own needs so that you can enjoy Shabbat as well. But again, if you want to join us with Mariv, we're going to be on page 39. And also, we will be resharing the resources and the website that Jessica was speaking about on Facebook. So if you're looking up, oh, how do I find more information about Sharsheret? It's going to be on your way. So back over to Stuart, and just again, Yesha Koach, Jessica, Facebook sending you a lot of love as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we start on page 39, and for those of you who are able to rise for the Baruch Hu, please do. La 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 Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Leolam, leolam, va'ed.
Baruch Adonai תבורך לעולם לעולם ועד. לי 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 Lie, 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 la lie, la la lie, 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 la lie, 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 la la lie. Please be seated. Baruch Adonai. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי, וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבי.
Amen. We'll continue with Ahavat Olam on page 40.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך עמך אהבת. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן, על כן, על כן, אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נוגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נוגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך, בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue on page 44 with Micha Mocha. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu alehem Moshe Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira besimcha rabba ve'amru chulam Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh Nora tehilot osef elel Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe ze'elianu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leolam va'ed ונאמר כיפת אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
On page 45, we have Hashkivenu and Amen for your previous blessing.
השיבנו וצל כנפיך עשיתנו ושמור צאתנו בואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We rise again for the Shamru on the next page, page 46.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש שבת וינפש וביום השביעי ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. In the middle of page 46, the Chatzi Kaddish. יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחייכון וביום אחרון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגאלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו 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 אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי 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 דקודשה דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעולמה ויאמרו 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 אמן.
Amen. We have now our silent Ma'ariv Amidah. It's to be found on page 47 and it continues to page 52. So feel free just to take a moment. You can do this in your own time, space, English, Hebrew, or just offer prayers from your heart at this time. And then when we're done, feel free to sit down if you were standing, and we will do, I think we're going to do a Shalom Rav, I believe.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha. Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha. Tasim leolam, shalom Rab al Yisrael amcha, ki ata hu melech, Adon, Adon, Adon lechol hashalom, ki ata hu melech Adon, 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 lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha. Tasim leolam, Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha. Tasim leolam, Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha. On page 54, the Kaddish, Shalem. Yitkaral v'yitkara Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'omad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayedechol Beit Yisrael. V'galav izman kari ve'imeru. Amen. Yahei Shmei Rabbah mevorach. Le'olam olam me'amaya. Yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha rihu le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma ve'imeru Amen. Titkabel tzloton v'uton dechol Yisrael kadam uvahon devishmaya ve'imeru Amen. Yahei Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen.
On the next page, it is Kiddush time. So we invite all to raise a glass, page 55 or 56.
Page 55. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. I knew I was going to do the Pesach man. Asher kiddushan b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Shabbat Shalom and L'chaim.
L'chaim. Clink.
Clink.
And it was delightful to give us a little reminder that Pesach is on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
So, but Purim first, and even Rosh Chodesh before that, which is today.
Yeah, and Rosh Chodesh is today, tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep. Happy Rosh Chodesh, Stuart. Happy Adar. Let's do an Aleinu and then a couple more things before we get to truly do all the announcements, because there's really a lot of stuff
Okay,
coming.
so please
But
rise
now,
if you are able, and east is that away, at least on my camera. So everyone. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedolal yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegeye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אין עוד אמת מלכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ואל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Yesha Koach, Stuart, and Todaraba, a beautiful, beautiful job with some gorgeous tunes. I know there's going to be one final one. We'll end with the Yigdal. But first we have our somber moment where we acknowledge loss and grief. And Kaddish Yatom is our next prayer. It's on page 58. And at this time, I first of all want to extend Adat Ariel's deepest condolences to the family and friends of Glenda Ben Susan, who passed away this week. The funeral is going to be early next week. So while they're not officially yet in their period of mourning and the shiva, the family are coping with that loss. So information has gone out about more details, how to support that family on for all members of Adat Ariel on the email listserv. And I've posted the names of all the upcoming yurt sites that we observe in the upcoming week on Facebook. And I also encourage anyone to post your own if you are following us from Facebook. And I do just want to talk about two individuals who are on that, because it is the end of their first year. And a 1 year yurt site is a benchmark. It's a very powerful transition when the mourner changes category halachically. They go from no longer being technically a mourner. But try telling that to your heart. So it's a very odd feeling to say I'm leaving behind that first year. And that's why I just want to also offer a big virtual hug, really, to Len Edelstein and his family, his friends, his children, Max and Louis, on this also being the anniversary of the first yurt site of the passing away of his mother, Jenny Edelstein. And I also want to acknowledge another 1 year yurt site, which is that on the 14th of February this year, we will be observing the yurt site of 1 year of Anne Garbowitz, who made it to nearly 100. So we just want to offer, again, a big virtual hug and comfort to Sue Garbowitz and all of the friends and family. I know that Sue is ordering a memorial plaque in honor of her mother. So we're not going to be able to physically unveil that together at this moment, but it is in the works. So we just hope that all of these powerful people's memories will sustain us and inspire us to do good deeds in their names. So I invite all those who are saying this prayer at this time to recite it with me. I'm on page 58. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah v'yalma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael v'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam ulolmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata de'amiran v'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Thank you for taking the time to lean into that pain and acknowledgement with me. So back to things concerning joy and happiness and life. We want to first of all offer again a big Toda Rabba and Yesher Koach to Stuart Zimring, who gloriously and beautifully led Kabbalat Shabbat. I promise you the biggest thank you comes from Kanta Aronoff, who will rest her voice in order to do an extra long Shabbat morning for Rosh Chodesh. Services at 9:30, and we have some lovely things happening during services. Several Torahs, a wonderful in-person darshan. You'll see what happens when you get there. And also a big thank you to everyone else for tuning in, for being together, for allowing us to make up a minyan, and also for giving your respect and attention to Jessica Jablon from Sharsheret, as she talked about her organization and how important it is to do that self-care and to remind the women running around frantically, you deserve to be healed in case you're not feeling well yourself. So there is all that. Just going to pitch a couple of upcoming events. It's actually a surprisingly busy calendar for February. Who would have thought? We've got Naranana this time next week. So tune in for an extra musical service there with lots of band type instruments, because we're in the month of Adar, and it is a very joyful time for the Jewish people, and we're going to try to lean into that despite certain events such as a pandemic, meaning that we can't celebrate as physically as we would like to. But there is, all of our usual events coming up. There is Purim. So we have Mishlach Manot deliveries heading your way soon. There's Purim World on the 28th, which is a several-hour-long event, which should be a super amount of fun. Lots of different activities, performers, entertainers, and interactive activities as well, like a goose chase. So sign up for that. Again, the information is on the website. And before that, of course, there is the actual Purim Spiel and Megillah reading on the 25th of February. Before that, though, there is, and I'm doing this backwards because Hebrew goes in that direction. We have on the 21st, that's a Sunday, our movie night, our drive-in movie is back. That USY helps ensure works correctly. Andreas is catering it should you choose to also get a meal. We have at 6 p.m. drive-in movie. I think it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and there's also another movie as well. I don't remember which one is which. Let me have a double check in my notes. But both of these movies are really fun, and you can do like the earlier session, which is a bit more family. That's right, 6 p.m. is Zootopia, and then 8:15 is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So you can drive on up, reserve your seat, bring your own popcorn, or buy ours. Again, it is a fundraiser, so I know that it's a little bit pricey, but for good reason. And again, it's very rare that you can see a really big movie on a big screen these days in the vague proximity to other human beings. So yeah, that's just what I'm going to talk about right now. There's a lot of other things that can be said about upcoming events and ways to connect. But we just continue to do so with hope and with love that we will all be together physically again soon. So I'm out, and we're going to pass you, my gentle audience participation, congregational people all over the world who tune in, back to Stuart Zimring, who will lead us out with Yigdal.
Okay, on page 62. Yigdal Elohim Chai ve'yishtabach nimtza ve'ein eretz mitzioto echad ve'en yachid ke'yichudo nelam v'gam ein sof le'achduto ein lo demut haguf ve'ein o guf lo naroch elav kedushato kadmon lechol davar asher nivra rishon ve'en reshit lereshito hino adon olam v'chol notzar yoreh gedulato malchuto shefu nevuato netano el anshe segulato v'tifarto lo kam b'Yisrael כמו שעוד נביא ומביט את אמונתו תורת אמת נתן להמואל על יד נביאו בנעם ביתו לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו צופה ויודע סתרנו מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו נותן לרשע רע כרישתו ישלח לקץ ימים משיחנו לפדות מחכה קץ ישועתו מתים יחל ברוב חסדו ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו מתים יחייל כברוב חסדו ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו. Shabbat shalom, Jonah. Shabbat shalom. Who's that? The little?
Shabbat shalom,
that's little Yoda.
Stuart and Carol and everyone out there listening. Mwah, thank you so much, and we will see you again tomorrow and every day. Oh, and actually, quick reminder: if you're tuning in Monday morning, services are at 9 a.m. for Shacharit rather than 7:30 a.m. due to the holiday.